Remember when you were a little boy and you had those senses of nostalgia of the fun times that you had? What, you want to go, buddy? Okay. And you replay these movies in your mind, right? And sometimes they're amazing. You had a great childhood. Other people had a more traumatic childhood. So we all have a different spiritual journey that we must go on. And different experiences, we're attracting different experiences depending on our belief systems. And your belief systems aren't just what you have at the moment, what you control with your conscious thought. Many of these are actually created the instant you were born because you, as a soul, were meant to be the generational curse breaker. You are meant to overcome these belief systems, stop the genetic expression, because there is a great awakening occurring. But I want to bring a picture to you guys today of how everyone has a different journey through life and the meaning behind these experiences. Because even though I have amazing parents, and I didn't have to go through the traumas of a narcissistic father who beat the shit out of me, and I didn't have to deal with a mother who was controlling and tell me what to do like many people do, I had my own obstacles to overcome. And it's different, and life is perception, right? Some people don't even have anything happen to them, and they perceive it as trauma, right? And oftentimes, a lot of times, people perceive these things as trauma, and then they go into isolation. And when they go into isolation, they're like, "I'm healed," but you haven't put yourself into society where there are triggers. So you believe you're healed, but like the Buddha did and went in the forest to meditate, he did so and realized the fastest way to consciousness enlightenment was to surround yourself with people and experiences that could trigger you. See, you should be able to adapt to any experience. And this is where I want to get to today and help you realize how to become the greatest version of yourself. Because in isolation, it doesn't happen. You should be able to be like water. You should be able to transform in every experience. You shouldn't have anxiety in any event in your life. You shouldn't feel alone when you are alone. You just exist. You just are. You are in the being state. You're in the now. Not in the past, not in the future, worried about what's going to happen. You're just doing what you're supposed to do now, and you're not judging experiences. I want to get you guys there. Right? I don't want you to stay in that 5, 4, 3-year-old little boy or girl that's running a pattern in your mind, creating all these experiences, not understanding why your life sucks, and you want to escape it through alcohol, drugs, watching TV, obsessing over sports, obsessing over the news and what the oligarchs and dictators are doing out there. Like, forget all that noise, right? That's nonsense. You focus on those things that you feed. It's negativity, right? We are here as spiritual beings to ascend, to learn lessons. And maybe some of that is to isolate yourself and to reflect inward. But that's not where you want to stay, right? An awakened person can put himself in any situation or herself in any situation and always have an immense amount of love in their heart where they admit that, and they have the ability to influence others and awaken others. So my journey as a 7-year-old, and many of you are going to associate with this, right? And probably have similar patterns. You know, none of us are real unique. There's patterns that everyone has. But before the ages, first thing I want you to understand is before the age of 7, your myelin are not formed. The synaptic activity in your brain isn't formed. And that's why the Jesuits, when I said, give me the man or the boy, or give me the boy before the age of 7 and I'll show you the man, right? Because they knew they can make the biggest imprint on that individual before the age of 7, because that's when the neurons are fully formed. That's when you have myelin around those nerves and the most amount of synaptic activity is happening. Many of that development happens in that, before the age of 7. So as a child, my parents always encouraged me. But for some reason, I always had doubt. I always thought kids didn't like me, or there's something wrong with me. I wasn't on the starting team for sports, and it wasn't that I wasn't skilled, because I did have a soccer coach that actually saw me and believed in me and saw the talent. But at the same time, other people didn't, and I paid too much attention to the outside world, and I developed these limiting beliefs about my abilities and myself. And in kindergarten, I struggled and I failed the test to be able to tie my shoes. I could not figure out how to do it, right? I couldn't figure out how to wrap the rabbit around the hole and get, it's like, you remember the whole thing with in kindergarten where they teach you how to tie your shoe? loop-de-loosey, around the rabbit hole it goes, right? So, and then you loop it through. Right? So there was this whole thing. I couldn't get it straightened out in my head. And I got in this pattern of doubting myself, thinking I couldn't do things. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. See, when you tell yourself you can't do things, you can't do things. And when you tell yourself you can, you will. Doesn't mean it's easy road, but you will. So whatever you think, not just what you say, but whatever you think, you're actually casting spells into the universe. And as a young child under the age of 7, you're very susceptible. You're very susceptible to the programming of what your parents are telling you and the church is telling you and the school is telling you. You're very susceptible. And this is where, as an adult, you had to realize this and be nothing but kind and encouraging to the youth, because you're starting them out on a bad start, and then they have to learn these things on their own through time, and it's a painful struggle, and you don't want to be a contributor to that, right? You want to be, you want to be the light that brings the youth to a heightened state that are able to make a change in the world, because it is only through you and the light that you spread that you can grow society in a place that is not in these derp states we constantly are seeing people in, with groupthink and DEI and the poverty and the victimhood and the trophy culture and the sex changes, all the bullshit that's going on right now, right? All that stuff is a sign of mental illness in society and a victimhood mentality of not taking accountability or responsibility. And I'm not afraid to say it, because it is what it is. And if you are that person, it's not, I'm attacking you. It's out of a place of love. And you have to understand that you are in the position you're in, but with taking radical responsibility, you have the power to change your life too. And there's immense love within you. You've just let that light dim. So heed these words and understand it's not an attack. It's actually the opposite, and it's encouragement. So at the age of 7, or I'm sorry, when was that? I was 6 years old, and I was in first grade, and I was struggling with reading, and they put me into a remedial reading class because I had a problem with focusing. So I couldn't keep my attention span long enough to recall what I was even reading. And I couldn't, I really legitimately had a learning disability. Like my synapses in my brain just wouldn't fire. I couldn't remember things. I couldn't focus. I daydreamed constantly. And I don't even know what I was daydreaming about. I was just off. I was like in a meditation somewhere. But it was like this thing that I was going through. And yes, my diet wasn't the best, but you got to remember there's more to it than diet. The mind controls the electron flow as much as the diet. The diet gives you the cofactors of the minerals and the amino acids and the fats, everything you need to make your hormones and your neurotransmitters and regulate your immune system and keep your cardiovascular system pumping the blood and taking oxygen. Like all those things are involved. But it's the mind that controls this. And so if you ever read Candace Pert's book, Molecules of Emotion, right? It talks about neuropeptides. So neuropeptides are these chemicals that are produced through our thought. And those neuropeptides are actually changing the synaptic activity that's actually causing the cascade of hormones that are produced in your body, right? And so in physics, we have to look at this and say, that's interesting. Waves are light and they're emitted, and it's a frequency, it's an energy, it's a frequency, but what are the particles? And the particles are actually those cells and what they're producing. So that's the neurotransmitters, the hormones, the digestive enzymes, the immune factors, like all these things are particles that are vibrating on a frequency that's emitting a light wave outside of you, right? Because remember, proteins are a semiconductor for light. You receive light in and reflects light out, but your thoughts and emotions and these neuropeptides that are produced are actually truthfully just vibrating a frequency that's changing the light that's emitted outside of you, forming your reality. So if you believe you're stupid and you need to be in this remedial reading class, then you're telling yourself, I can't do this. I don't have a bad memory. I'm special. I can't do things like others, right? It's giving you a handicap, and you're not handicapped. There's immense power within you, and you take radical responsibility and ownership of that. I don't think there should be a program called No Child Left Behind. I think those children should truthfully be put in a place where they have to keep up, where the ones that are super excelling are actually setting the pace, and the others that are there that are lacking are forced to be risen up. because enabling others and participation trophies and hustle, these modern belief systems of not having kids feel bad, that's when the gun goes to the head and people have to take action, right? I get it. You don't want someone to feel bad about themselves, but enabling them and learned helplessness is creating a weak society that allows for groupthink to exist, that allows for totalitarian governments to take over, that allows for a corporatocracy, an elite class to run the world. There's always going to be somebody doing better than you, but there doesn't need to be this great disparity that's occurring. And it doesn't mean the people that have all the riches and the wealth need to share with you. It means you need to catch up. It means you, as an individual, have immense power within you. And if you deny that power, you develop a suppression of the soul and you go into this derp state and you're sad and you're depressed and feel like a victim. You have to look at the people not in jealousy, but what are they doing that you aren't? What are their belief systems? Candace Pert knew that these neuropeptides changed her biochemistry and her overall health. The disease you have in your mind and feeling uneasy and lost and hopeless and like you're stupid, like I felt when I was 7 years old, is actually creating dementia later on in life because you don't want to face a situation. It's actually creating the neurological disease MS because I didn't want to feel it and I didn't want to experience it as an adult when I was like 37. So I was creating these things. It was me that was doing it. Nobody did it to me. I didn't need anyone to feel sorry for me. I did it to myself. It's my thoughts and beliefs that created these things. And so I caused these neuropeptides through my thought to be created that caused a cascade of demyelinated nerves and poor conduction of electricity through my body because I didn't want to feel or know the power that was within me, right? But the universe is like, no, there's immense power within you. Acknowledge it or we're going to kill you. Your soul's going to die. The energy is going to stop flowing. That wave is going to collapse because when light doesn't emit, the wave collapses and it dies. So it wasn't until I graduated college, and you guys can probably relate with this story very much, because as a child, if you're not told that you can do these things, and you're not told, like, let's go back. Let's look at what happens to water molecules, right? Dr. Moroso Emoto, forget the neuropeptides. Let's just go to the simplest form. Our body's 85 to 90% water. And Dr. Moroso Emoto looked at crystals on water crystals under a dark field microscope and discovered that words influence the molecular structure of water. So if a parent tells you fucked up, you're stupid, why'd you do that? They beat you into submission, right? It's love in their aspect in their mind, but like you're taking that child and you're crushing him. You're telling him he's no good, and he takes that to heart. As you tell that child he's no good, you can't do these things, this is how it has to be done, you're programming that child in a way that's demeaning him, and maybe it works, and you'd be saying, I'm going to show the world out of anger, but that's not the way you want to approach life, is through anger, right? You want to approach life with this open heart and you want to see all the opportunities in life, right? You want to be able to know that you make a difference, that you are important, that you have the ability to learn, and that there aren't really mistakes, there's just lessons. And over time, it's the self-development that occurs. So you want to give children the encouragement. You want to give them the support. You want to give them the love. You want to teach them, without them harming themselves, how to run their lives, right? You want to implore these biblical principles within their lives and the belief systems that are there. And so, for me, when I was, 7 years old, I was put in this remedial class, 6 or 7, it was first grade. It was like, I let that determine my whole grade school and really junior high and some even high school. It carried for a long time. And I had scoliosis, right? Because my life was out of order. So my spine was shifted. So not only did I have MS later on, but I had scoliosis. So I created these things. And it wasn't until college that I started to seek out help and try to figure out, I know I always had back pain and scoliosis. I tried to find answers, and, I really didn't find any answers until later in life. It wasn't until I was like 25, I really started to dig down the rabbit hole. And I think the starting point was, what the bleep do we really know? It was a movie that was popular came out about physics and our beliefs and our thoughts and how the world is not as we perceive. And that was kind of the beginning of my journey. And I got introduced to different from that place, I got introduced to different physicians and holistic practitioners and shamans, and started to travel the world and went into debt, like over $100,000, trying different protocols and procedures to get well. But that was all done, and that all happened not because of my parents, but just because of the way that my teachers in the school treated the way that I was performing. My parents actually told me I can do things. They did everything they could to help. They were helping me with my times tables and, helping me read books. And I remember the Book It Club, right, with Pizza Hut. And they would get me the pizza, and I wanted the personal pan pizza. So I'd read the books, but I didn't remember shit. It was all these belief systems that these teachers put in my head that I was different than everybody else, and I was special in a way that I couldn't perform like everyone else. But the fact that they told me I couldn't led me to believe that then forced me down this road of teaching myself that I can, and reading the books, of finding the teachers that taught me that I could. Because now I have no issues. I read books. I remember things. I can understand medical journals, things other people don't understand. I put together complex medical systems and follow biochemical pathways. I look at aerobic respiration and oxidative damage, and I can map all this stuff out, stuff that other people can't even figure out. I can understand physics and light and waves and particles. I understand quarks and gluons. But it didn't happen overnight either. It's I started putting little piece by little piece together, and then now all of a sudden, because I figured this out, it gave me a great tool to be able to help others. It fulfills my life, and I'm able to enrich my life and live this cool life of experiences, where I go hunting in Montana, in the Arctic Circle, or almost the Arctic Circle, but up way up north in Alberta. I'm going to Africa hunting. Right? I'm going to go to Hawaii this summer with friends for axis deer. I've traveled over 45 different countries. I've been to Asia. I've been to South America. I've been to Central America. Right? I've been to all over Europe. 45 different countries. But that's because I noticed the light within me. And and my journey was later in life. But the thing of it is you as an adult don't have to pass down the bad habits that you possibly have to your kid. I know that's probably what most people do. But if we understand that the Jesuits know, if you can talk to a child and program him before the age of 7, that's the most impactful point of his life, and you can actually create a better man by doing that and teaching the power that's within him, helping him recognize his voice. Because if we don't do this as adults, and we don't teach these kids the power that's within them, the immense power, the 30 million trilovolts of electricity that's coursing through their bodies, that has the potential to manifest a whole new reality beyond what anyone else in the family lineage has experienced, even greater. If we don't do that, we end up with the participation trophies and the victimhood and the groupthink and the DEI and the sex changes and the gender confusion, totalitarian governments, corporate takeovers, poisons in our food. We see a lot of the things that we're seeing now. But there's going to be a change, there's going to be a shift. And you get to be a part of this shift. Right? You get to be a part of this shift with your children. You don't have to have your children indoctrinated. When you go to school, you understand the school system was created by Horace Mann. And he was hired by the Rockefellers. They wanted docile, obedient, militant workers in the workforce. Just smart enough to do the work, but not smart enough to be on their own. That wasn't the goal. They wanted you to be a part of the system. So you could be enslaved and have a job. See, a job is only the salary that they give you to give up on your dream. Because everybody's got a dream. That child had a dream before it was crushed, before the parent programmed him wrong, the school programmed him wrong, or the church programmed him wrong. He was a free thinker from day one. but he followed the narrative and everybody else, and he wanted to fit in, and he didn't want to be different, because if he was different, he wouldn't be accepted. But the thing of it is if you're the crazy one, other people become the crazy one. But you're not really the crazy one. You're the one who is just a free thinker that realizes what's going on in society, that has this light within him that can actually awaken the others. And that's dangerous to the elite oligarchs. It's dangerous to them because they didn't fall in line. They're not the docile, obedient, militant worker that you were taught to be in school. You can't be that factory worker. You could be, but then you're the derper who's living in this depressed state, thinks he can't impact his life, and life is difficult. What path do you want to choose? You can't disconnect from your soul, because there's a burning desire that's within you, and that your heart is waiting to open, and it's waiting to give that to your children, not to be programmed in the way that you were. Don't give participation trophies. Don't teach children to be victims. Right? Don't teach, find out what their dreams and passions are. Help them learn it on their own. Give them experiences. Encourage them. Tell them they can actually do these things. Tell them it's just a mistake. It's just a lesson. There are no mistakes. Zero mistakes. Because it doesn't have to be repeated. Sure, you could do something crazy like think you could fly and jump off a bridge, but let's be real. Like, most kids aren't going to do that unless they really believe someone that told them that, and because they were brainwashed or something like that, and of some influencer they looked up to. Who knows? But there's always some weird thing out there, some trend, people eating Tide Pods or which was a trend for a while and ending up in the emergency room because they were swallowing detergent. But let's not overlook the message here, right? Let's not go to the rare occurrences. Before the age of 7, realize that is a time of development for the neurons to fire in the brain and those neuropeptides to create the propulsion into the future with a positive path. We don't want to be the ones that set children back. We want to be the ones that push society forward and get us out of the totalitarian state of our governments and the totalitarian state of the churches and the institutions that try to control us. Right? We want to put the power back into God, not in outside authorities, but to God, and the God that it flows through us from our Creator. Because ultimately, you are just pure energy derived of light. And you're learning that. E equals mc squared. Energy and mass are interchangeable, where c squared is light. You receive light, and it affects the wavelength and the amplitude of the light emitted outside of you, forms the matter outside of you. You do the same work. You create. And it begins with a thought. Be mindful of what you think about when you speak about, because you're giving that to your children. That 30 million trilovolts coursing through your cells is emitting light to your children, giving them the path and lighting that torch. What is that torch? Is it dim? Is it suppressive? Okay. When you suppress it too much, you actually invite entities in. These little demons come in and they start running the program. And they keep you suppressed. And there's this little devil over your shoulder. It's like, just stay home. Just don't go out. Don't be in the real world. Just be quiet. Don't think. Just do what everyone else is doing. You're going to get in trouble if you do. You have to break the rules a little bit. And teach your children it's okay to break the rules a little bit. Not hurt others, but break the rules a little bit. Be a little bit of the bad boy, a little bit of the naughty boy, right? Just a little bit, right? Don't do what everyone else is doing. Just because everyone else listens to Taylor Swift, nah, I'm not going to do that, right? I'm going to be the guy that doesn't even listen to music, because I have an inner state that I change my own mood. I don't need music to do it. I don't need outside influence to change my state. I just am. This is where we got to get to. And you got to take responsibility in your life and your children's life, because you're their teacher. They manifested as a light being in this realm through the zinc spark of life, the same spark that happens when a star is made. And that's when that zinc spark is when the soul actually enters into the zygote. And then that soul is born and developed, and you're meant to cause that soul to bloom, right? It's like this dark soul that came in out and this burst of light is like a lotus that grows from the dark and out of the mud and becomes this radiant, beautiful flower. But it doesn't always end up that way because we poison them with our thoughts and beliefs and our racism and our limiting beliefs and the struggles that we've gone through. I get it, you don't want to go through them, but don't implant that on the children. Let them experience their own karmic events. You're better than that. And society changes. There's a mass awakening that's going to happen. And you get to be a part of that. But don't hold it back. Don't set limitations, because the only limitations set are through your divinity. Your divinity isn't religious. Your divinity is a set of limitations you set through your perception. So be mindful of what you think about and the actions you take. Actually process them before you do things. And if it's negative, change it. In meditation, go change it. Change those thoughts and beliefs, right? I do it for patients all the time. I just had a guy this week, came in, he wanted to quit drinking. I asked him, are you sure? Are you doing it for you? He said, yes. And I checked. He was ready, willing, able, and eager. He was the not a trifecta, but the quadfecta, right? He was all four. I'm like, I can help you. And there was an underlying reason why. And he thought it was finances. He thought it was finances and the stress of work of why he was drinking. But it wasn't. It was a doubt he had in himself. It was the doubt affecting the neurotransmitter production and creating depression and sadness. Not owning who he was, being fearful, worried. It's affecting the neuropeptides, the frequency. The frequency of thought matters. It changes the light, and you're pulling in the experiences. See, you're warping the time-space continuum with your thoughts. It doesn't got to be this way anymore. Quit giving it to your children. Participation trophies and groupthink are ridiculous. Don't implant ideas in children's head that are poison. It's demonic. You just stop it. If you would not want it for yourself, don't regurgitate it. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. It's the golden rule. Be mindful of the things that you're doing and what you're implanting in those children's head. Give them encouragement. And when they aren't doing things right, don't reprimand them. Teach them. Show them the way. And then they can reproduce it. And they won't be a child like how I was that doubted myself because the teachers told me I was special and had a learning disability and ADHD. Doesn't got to be that way because I'm not now. And it took time to develop that. And it was a setback. I'd probably be a lot further along. I probably would have never even gone through MS. I probably would have never gone through Lyme disease. And I probably never had scoliosis. All that stuff started happening as a child because I doubted myself. My life felt like I was out of order. That's what scoliosis is. You feel like you're out of order, right? So your spine shifts because you're just out of order. Life isn't in order. You feel like you're lacking something. You're not in alignment, right? The body speaks the mind. So you do have an impact on the world around you, more than you even know. Not just by your actions, but the way you think and what you speak. There's no room but for anything but encouragement. Plant life needs it. The earth needs it. The universe needs it. Your soul needs it. Live it and embody it and watch your life change. And now, because you're living it, you get the egotistical things that you always wanted, that you wondered why they never appeared. You're going to have money, and you're going to have love, and you're going to have health like you never thought possible, and it's going to be amazing. But you have to start with paying attention and being mindful. No more participation trophies. End of story. Let's be done with it.